So I managed to do a whole video without actually recording it. And what that means is that I've taken this off the collar and just sliced around the headline. You can see that texture line that equates to where this starts to slope down, and it's holding together quite nicely. Now I've had it on my head and I know that it looks pretty good. So I've decided that this side, see there's my centre front mark there, this side is a little bit nicer than the other side, although to be honest there's not much difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold that from the centre front, and I'm just putting those two edges together, just squeezing that line there, and then just keeping that parallel, getting those edges right together, and then squeezing that right through to the back. And just going to cut on this side here and at the front as well. So now I'm going to do a symmetrical piece, and it's going to be with the smiley face. So where's my little smiley? You can see the little smiley there. That's the one that I need to, can you see that? Somewhere there, yeah. That's my front there with the pen mark. So I've got my paper and I've got my edge there. Now I might just put a couple of little weights, whatever you've got handy, on top of the card just to make sure. There's my teacup with my little bit of glue, and I'm going to just turn this around so that I can use my, remember the using that movement of your wrist, it's almost like its own little compass making machine. And I'm just going to follow around here and along the back, and this is on the fold here, and I've allowed plenty of space there because later on I'm going to do my seam allowance around the edge, but for now it's just the actual shape. And I'm just going to cut this bit of sticky tape off, which I didn't spot, and now I'm just holding it down and tracing around the edge of that. And goodbye weights, and there's my centre back mark. So there we are. That's my approximate shape. Now I can tidy that up by just doing the curve. Around about now is probably a good time to mention that a rubber won't go astray. And just, now see how that's a bit wider there? If you want to and you like that, you can leave it, or you can modify the width. So I could actually shorten that off a little bit there and rub out the outside line. It's completely up to you. And there we go with the centre back line. Now I've worked out that my head measurement is 58 centimetres, and I've decided that I'm going to do a 2 centimetres of ease because I've got the thickness of the brim plus the crown, and I should be able to fit the everything together and put the head fit inside. So I need this to be half of 60 centimetres, which will be, what are we talking, 30? Yeah, that's right. So with my tape measure, I'm just going to do little 2 centimetre increments and bring that around. So there's 4, 6. So you just take your time and get that measurement correct, because that's going to make all the difference later. 10. So I want this to be 30. So I may have to increase it. Very rarely. 12. I might have to decrease it. But this is where correcting to the head fit plus ease in all pattern pieces is the first thing you would do. So the important measurement is that head fit, because you know that you cannot modify the shape of a human head without fairly disastrous consequences. 24, 26. Now I can see 28. So I think I mentioned to you when we were together earlier that this was a little bit smaller than I need it to be. So that is 28 just there, and I need 30. So there's that extra 2 centimetres. So that's if I just made that up as it was, it would have been a bit of a disaster. But given that we've got the ability to now do those extra couple of centimetres, you can see here. Oh, I've only just got enough paper there, haven't I? I can increase that by the 2 centimetres. If it comes to the crunch, I'll just sticky tape a little bit of extra paper onto there, and then just continue that line, and that one I'll rub out later. Okay, so now I've got the paper is on the fold, and I've got those extra 2 centimetres. So it's the brim of my bucket. I can work out the fractions later, but there'll be 1, 2, 3, or 4 pieces. I'd need to decide, probably 4, so 1 of 4. And again, this is the centre front up here. And we're going to do it on the cross at the centre front. So I can do the grain line there. So it'll be sitting on a 45-degree angle to the front of the paper. I've got to name it. And what else am I going to say? I'm going to say cut 2 outer. So I'll have the top brim and the bottom brim. And then the next thing I need to do is to put my seam allowance on. Now I put a little, this particular ruler is rather wonderful because it's got 1 centimetre increments. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around. I might get away with that, And I'm just going to join. Just make sure that you identify the actual line that you're working to. If I wasn't rushing to please you guys, I'd rub all those other lines out now, but because I'm trying to keep this brief, I'm going to do all that afterwards. So this will go into my sleeve, and it'll get labelled as the Serena bucket hat, and today's date, which is August 2020. So this line here on the outside is the line that I'll be cutting to later on. So you can see it looks a bit feathery, and we're going to cut this in half. Well, sorry, we're going to cut this out on the fold so that you've got identical both sides, aka it's going to be symmetrical. So I'm going to just do that all the way around and go, so I can just tidy that up just using my wrist and get that into a nice continuous curved line. And I'm going to do the same at the centre back, and I can use this ruler to just get that right. Oh, lucky me, I've just tiny little bit too short, but not enough to mess things up. So then I'm going to do this again and then just cut along this outside line. And that, my friends, is how you do your brim pattern.